So I haven't decided yet if this is going to be the first one of these videos in this series, but in case it is, welcome. Good to see you. How are you? Did you find your way over here okay? I'm calling this series Why Aren't You? Or maybe Way for short. I haven't decided yet. But this is going to be a series where I look at some of my favorite weird art things that I sometimes share with people, be it a movie or TV show or video game or, in this case, a musical-based audio podcast, and talk about why I love it, why I think you should give it a shot in your free time, stuff like that. Of course, this is under the assumption that you want to try something new and have the time to pick up a new video game or a new show or something. Today's topic of choice begins with a song that showed up in my Spotify Discover playlist a couple of months ago, specifically A Better Version by Jesse Shelton.
Been playing for the first time I was in love.
It was just this one 3-minute song, and after listening to the lyrics, it felt kind of story-like, so I decided to do a little bit of research. Turns out that this was a section from 36 Questions, an entire musical that was recorded as audio only. The musical follows Judith Ford, voiced by Shelton, as she tries to rekindle a romantic relationship with her husband Jace, voiced by Jonathan Groff. This is after he finds out that she had a mysterious secret identity she had kept hidden from him for years of their relationship. Judith uses New York Times article 36 Questions to Fall in Love to attempt to keep their relationship alive, as they had initially used the questions on their first ever date. What follows is a story of heartbreak and love that, for whatever reason, I can think of a past relationship that I relate to on a whole different level, which only leads me to believe that I was in an emotionally abusive relationship for a few months in college. But throughout the play, we got a look as to why Judith decided to trick Jace into thinking that she was someone different, and who initially was viewed as a bit of a villain can gain a little bit of sympathy from the audience. They spend a weekend together, and it all culminates into a heartbreaking 5-minute ballad that mixes the discomfort of dealing with years of lies and guilt, and the mystery of what-ifs. What if Jace had stayed with Judith? What if Judith's secret was never revealed?
Of who you are and why you act the way you act. But the truth is, the truth doesn't exist.
I'm trying so hard to get this together without giving away too much of the story, because it really is something I want other people to experience in full on their own and feel the same way that I did when I went in blind. However, to make my argument, I think I'm also going to have to include a few snippets of some of the music, because if this was just an audiobook, it would be one thing. But the fact that there is music to go along with it adds a whole new level. 36 Questions was produced by 2 Up Productions, an entertainment company founded by college friends Zach Akers, or Akers, and Skip Bronke. The pair also enlisted help from Chris Littler and Ellen Winter as the writers, directors, and composers of the whole musical. What's interesting about the spoken word sections, however, come from the Foley sound, or the reproduced sound, that is placed into the scene. For example, the entire first act of the play happens in a broken down house during a thunderstorm, so throughout you can hear thunder and rain and things breaking, as well as a duck that Jace ends up adopting as a son for the night for something to talk to. These really do set the stage and add to the realism that this could be just audio ripped from a movie or play. With the album being produced in post, as opposed to sticking to the usual live setting plays are normally conducted in, 36 Questions also makes the opportunity to have some really deep layering into the mix, with walls of sound for some of the more intense moments.
Never really know the truth is that
They also go in the opposite direction of making you stew in the silence to let you breathe after a big reveal, with either silence or the ambiance of the environment as the only thing really playing.
their word on its own.
The way the story is presented is also as if Judith is keeping an audio log on her phone, explaining why you wouldn't be seeing any visuals. So every so often, you'll hear a little chime of the audio recording starting or ending, sometimes also separated by silence for room to breathe. All in all, the musical is done very well, and I really love the way they added little nuances here and there to add some realism to the entire piece. Before I wrap up this section, I have to say that there's this one song that Jace sings at the end of the second act that, as a song on its own, it's fucking heartbreaking, but also beautiful. And if I ever get the confidence and ability to sing and play something, I think it would be this song, Reality by Jonathan Groff.
What I know is I still love you. That's my reality, you know.
From what I understand, this might be the only podcast like this, or at least there are very few podcasts with this setup in particular. There are audiobooks, of course, which originally came from books on tape in the 1980s, and there are some scripted podcasts that serve as an audio play, but there aren't many that I can think of that also include the musical element of it all. Most podcasts people think about are the classic 3 white dudes with an audio mixer, or just a few people with a mixer and a topic, and some of them don't even include that much. What really stands out to me about this is that this was probably a huge undertaking, and not many people have done it, as much as I wish they should in the future. As for the main cast, Jonathan Groff is also known as a big theater guy, more famously as Melchior Gabor in Spring Awakening and King George in the original run of Hamilton. He can also be seen as Special Agent Holden Ford in Mindhunters, as well as Kristoff and Sven in Disney's Frozen franchise. I tried to look into Jessie Shelton and found her website, but as I was writing this, it looks like it's still under construction. So if that changes, I'll put a little editor's note here or something. But so far it says she did Hadestown, a play I'm not too familiar with, but if she's in it, I'll have to do more research and learn a little bit more. So now we get to the bread and butter, the meat and potatoes, the whiskey and rye, maybe? I don't know, but this is where I try to analyze what I think would be the main reasons you might not be listening to this podcast right now. Other than the obvious ones of I don't have time and stuff like that, because I understand not having time to do everything in the world.
So I went to the attic, and to my utmost delight,
It's like a mixture of a lot of things, because it is technically a podcast, while also being a musical and a music album. There are playlists where it's just the music and it's about an hour long, and that can be great if you already have the experience, but I personally suggest that you put in the time to listen to the whole 3-hour musical the first time around.
It's
I'm
really
not done.
just
See the tarp in the hallway that used to be a gallery?
Well, the whole thing is separated into 3 one-hour chunks, classified in a 3-act structure like most plays. I think you can get away with listening to them one at a time, and listen to them in parts while doing things like cleaning or doing the dishes or on a car ride or something. That's typically when I listen to all my podcasts, minus the driving part because I'm not really going anywhere right now.
When I tried to rebuild the wall.
Luckily, all 3 acts of the 36 questions are available to stream on Apple Podcasts, and if you don't have that, then they can be found on Spotify. I also mentioned earlier that you could listen to the songs individually on Spotify, but I'd recommend listening to the full play first to get the entire experience. But those are the big questions I can think about for suggesting this podcast. I'll link the Spotify and Apple Podcast link in the description down below. Thank you all for joining me on this video, this experience in the first test run of this series. I have a few more in the works that I'm recording back to back, so I can just get them all done at once. They'll be coming out soon, probably a week from when this one is released, and I'll try to always release on a Wednesday. If you have anything else you want me to try to describe or review, leave them down in the comments, or also reach out to me on Twitter right here. That's also my Instagram handle, so you can DM me on Instagram if you want. I don't really care. Be sure to subscribe to stay connected to when I post these videos and when the next one comes out. I'm at like the 30-ish subscriber mark, so it'd be really cool if I could hit 50 by the end of this year. I think that would be kind of fun. Be sure to leave a like too. I hear that that's good for the algorithm and it gets more viewers on these videos. That being said, I thank you if you made it this far, and I'll catch you on the next one.